What's going on YouTube? JT is Reborn here, and welcome back to another video. So after I went ahead and posted my Damian and Raven in the DCMU video, the response to it was pretty huge, and ever since I posted it, a lot of people have been asking me to do a follow-up video to it, seeing how I made it before Justice League Dark Apokolips War came out. Well, I aim to give the audience what they want, so here it is, the long-awaited Part 2. Now keep in mind that this is a video that builds off of the previous one, so be sure to check that out before watching this part. So the first section of this video will be focused on all their interactions before I kind of re-summarize some of the points from the previous video and just kind of wrapping it all up in a nice little ball for you. Alright, with that said, let's begin.
I like him.
Well, after years of hints and speculation amongst fans, Damian and Raven finally confessed their love for one another and became a couple in the DC AMU. The response to it for the most part was quite positive. You are never going to please everyone, but I think for the most part the relationship was one of the most well-received aspects of the film. In fact, ever since the movie came out, there's been a lot of new fan art that's come out, and some fans are even petitioning to have them back together in the new timeline. In terms of this movie, the relationship between the two characters is ultimately the heart of the movie. A lot has happened with these two characters since the last movie they appeared in together. They grew a lot closer since Judas Contract and were more comfortable around one another. Then the war on Apokolips broke out and cost them both a great deal. Damian lost his family along with his teammates and went back to the League of Assassins, while Raven was saved by Superman and taken under his wing, although Raven also grew weaker and was getting sicker thanks to the gem on her forehead. After this, Raven and Damian soon became separated. The two of them wouldn't end up seeing each other for probably close to 2 years. It is at this point that Raven and Superman go to find John Constantine and Etrigan the Demon to locate Damian Wayne, believing he is the key to freeing Batman from being trapped under Darkseid's mind control. Eventually, they do find the League of Assassins outpost and are attacked by the League soldiers. Raven almost gets killed, but Damian, who is now leading the League of Assassins, orders the soldiers to stop attacking. We can also see in this scene that the dog that Raven gave to Damian, Titus, is still alive. A nice touch. Raven then sees Damian. There is a bit of an awkward high from her, which is understandable considering what we find out later on in the movie. Then Damian sees Superman and gets angry. He is ready to pull out his sword and try to attack him because this whole war with Apokolips was Superman's idea, an idea that cost Damian both his whole family and his teammates. But before Damian can attack, Raven intervenes but collapses due to her weakened state, and Damian immediately catches her. Now this scene here is a key scene that showcases just how much Damian has changed. He was ready to go after Superman, the man who he blames for this entire war in Apokolips that cost him just about everything. But once Raven faints, his attention immediately turns to helping her. Her well-being is more important to him than his revenge towards Superman. It just goes to show just how important Raven is to Damian. Had she not been there, the situation could have turned out very differently. He is very tender and caring towards her. The fact that Damian Wayne is acting like this is a big deal. The Damian we saw in Son of Batman would not have acted this way. He showcases his compassionate side that he hides under his colder exterior. By acting this way and comforting Raven, he also validates what Raven said to him back in Justice League vs. Teen Titans, that he is in fact a kind and generous soul.
But I'll tell you something about yourself that not even you know. You may be insufferable, but in your heart, you are a kind and generous soul.
After Raven collapses, Damian carries her inside and gives her and the others a place to stay so that they can rest and recover. It is at this point where we get a peek inside of Raven's mind and get to see firsthand the internal battle of trying to keep her father Trigon from escaping and the constant agony that this is causing her. We also learn in this scene that Trigon knows that Raven is in fact in love with Damian and tries to use this as leverage over her when he threatens her by saying to release him or that he will kill Damian. While Raven suffers in her sleep, Damian was with Constantine, keeping an eye on her, and asks John if there is a way to cure her, for which Constantine tells him that if they brought Trigon out, it would cure her condition, but the consequences of that are that Trigon would ultimately destroy the world. Upon hearing this revelation, Damian goes from being real stern to worried within a few seconds. It is done without any dialogue, but with a simple change in his facial expressions. The look he gives us tells us everything that we need to know about his feelings. Watching Raven suffer is clearly eating him up on the inside, and it hurts him even more knowing that until Trigon is gone, Raven can't fully be free. I wouldn't be surprised if he's thinking about freeing him, that way Raven no longer suffers, but he doesn't, so in the meantime, he's got to do his best to look out for her. When Raven wakes up, Damian takes her hand and then brings Superman with him to show him just how much this war cost his family. We find out in this scene what happened to the Titans and how Superman's decision to go to war with Apokolips, a decision Damian disagreed with from the start, got them all killed. Damian even watched as Nightwing was killed right in front of him. He tried to fight but was knocked off the edge of a cliff. We also learned that Damian used the Lazarus Pit to try and bring him back, but he ended up coming back insane, much to the shock of Raven. It is also worth noting that by using the Lazarus Pit on Dick, he had broken a promise to Raven that he would not use it, but Damian responds by saying, "He was my brother. I had to take the chance." the first time he actually acknowledges him as his brother in this continuity, showing just how much he cares for him and that his relationship with his brother has grown over the course of these movies. As far as going on the mission with Superman and Raven to Apokolips goes, Damian was initially hesitant, but he eventually agrees to join them on their quest. Now, to make it to Apokolips, they need to use the boom tubes at LexCorp Tower, which leads them to Stryker's Island. Raven teleports them there, but she throws up, showing how using her magic is making her feel sicker, but Damian quickly comes to her aid and helps her inside the compound, giving her a shoulder to lean on. Once inside the compound, we see Damian close to Raven as they watch a fight between Harley and Lois Lane. But Raven's gem starts acting up, and Damian quickly comes to her aid, asking Harley if there's a place that they can rest. But Harley quickly responds with, "Oh, is that what you kids are calling it these days?" implying that those two are going to get... The response that Damian gives to Harley is actually pretty funny, where he gives her a death glare. He then takes Raven to an infirmary where she could get some rest, at which point we get one of the most critical scenes in the movie when it comes to their relationship. It begins with Raven sitting down, struggling and in pain. She tells Damian, "You probably think I'm weak," but Damian responds to her by letting her know that she is one of the strongest people he knows. It is at this point where we find out the story of how Raven ended up in the care of Superman and what happened the last time that they saw each other. We learned that after the initial invasion, after losing just about everything, Damian decided to go back to leading the League of Assassins and had asked Raven to come with him, but she turned down his offer and they instead went their separate ways, with each of them never having admitted their true feelings for one another. With Damian gone, the death of her friends, and with Trigon tormenting her, Raven attempted to take her own life, but was saved by Superman. Raven then apologized to Damian for not going with him, and it is at this point where Damian confesses to Raven that he asked her to go with him in leading the League of Assassins, not because he thought she was a good fighter, but because he had feelings for her. After admitting the truth to her, Damian was a little hesitant to face her, because he was very insecure and was afraid Raven did not reciprocate the same feelings for him. He is so insecure that he even tells her that if she didn't have feelings for him, that she made the right choice not to go with him. However, Raven tells him that the reason she didn't go with him was because her father wanted to kill Damian and that she couldn't risk losing him. Hearing this comes as a relief for Damian. You gotta wonder if this is something that weighed heavily on him since they were apart from each other. I think a lot of people can relate to having feelings for someone and not knowing if they feel the same way about you. Raven not going with him had to have taken a toll on him, but not only did it take a toll on him, it took a massive toll on her, both physically and emotionally. Anyways, after hearing the truth from Raven and how she stayed back to protect him, Damian goes and holds her hand, which makes her smile, and not only that, it makes him smile too, as the two of them share a nice little moment together. What follows this scene of them together is the actual mission to go to Apokolips. We get some little moments between them here and there, like for instance when Damian has a snarky comment to make, Raven is there to give him some sort of response. We also see teases of Raven turning demonic after Lex Luthor hurts Damian, where she almost kills him. Then once again after they arrive in Apokolips and Raven taps into her demonic powers to save the team from an onslaught of attacks. There's also a scene where Trigon speaks through Raven to Damian, where he threatens to kill him before Raven gets control again, saying, "So that was my dad." It is kind of a funny scene. I guess Trigon doesn't like his future son-in-law or something. I don't know. Anyways, after this part, the team confronts the mind-controlled Batman and Darkseid. Damian battles his father and is almost killed, but upon seeing a vulnerable Damian, he flashes back to the night his parents died and breaks free from his mind control. He then throws a sword at Darkseid and then fires his Omega Beams at Batman, but Damian sacrifices himself by jumping in front of the Omega Beams and takes the brunt of the blast. This causes Raven to snap and lose control, like a character from Dragon Ball Z, at which point Trigon is released and possesses Superman to battle Darkseid. Batman then shares a final moment with Damian. He then tells his father to remember the lessons he taught him before he dies in his arms, with his final words being about Raven, where he tells Batman to save her. After Bruce gets his final goodbye, Raven makes her way to see the fallen Damian, crying and holding him in her arms, where she finally tells him that she loves him. Then in a scene straight out of the movie Tangled, Raven's tear falls onto Damian, and using her magic she transforms into White Raven and brings him back to life. Damian looks at her and then says, "You brought me back," for which Raven responds with, "I had to take the chance," which are the exact same words Damian said earlier in the movie when he tried to resurrect Nightwing using the Lazarus Pit. After Damian is brought back, Raven and Constantine free Trigon so they can do battle with Darkseid. Raven then says her final goodbye to her father, who actually tells her thank you for giving him the gift of battle with Darkseid, and even tells her to be well before Raven and the remaining survivors head back to Earth while Cyborg boom tubes Apokolips along with Darkseid and Trigon into a black hole. Back on Earth, the surviving heroes gather at the remains of Titan's Tower, with Damian sitting and holding Raven, and we learn that Earth's core has been compromised. So Constantine tells Flash that since the Earth is doomed, that he needs to go back in time and create another Flashpoint. Ultimately, he agrees to do it. As he starts running backwards, a bright light covers the sky as the heroes watch onward. With their final moments together, Damian and Raven accept their fates as they share their first and final kiss together, as the Flash resets the timeline, leaving their fates unknown. It is a beautifully tragic ending. At the end of all this chaos, the only two characters who kind of gained anything by the end of all of this were Damian and Raven. Raven was finally free of her father, and the two of them were now free to be with one another, which makes it more sadder knowing that the Flash had to go back in time and create another Flashpoint. At this point, we do not know what happens next, and if the two of them will ever see each other again, or if they will retain their memories of being together. The film ends on an ambiguous ending, and as of right now, no sequel or follow-up has been announced. As far as their relationship was handled in this movie, I thought it was handled quite well, a lot better than other relationships were handled within this universe. There was something that felt genuine about it, and there was also a bit of innocence to it that you don't really see too often, and I kind of like that. Going back to what I said in part 1, the slow burn to it really helped to sell it, and it was nice watching it build up over the course of this universe. I also like how it felt different from the other types of relationships you saw in the other movies. I like how Damian is very respectful and attentive towards Raven. He's not overly flirty and does not act like a billionaire playboy like his father would, which is refreshing to see. He comes across as a lot more mature. He follows her lead and listens to her while remaining very respectful towards her. Even when they do finally kiss, he never really forces it on her. He waits for her to give the okay like a true gentleman would. I also appreciate seeing just how patient and caring Raven is for Damian, but she also isn't afraid to call him out if Damian says or does something that seems a bit out of line. And the best part is that instead of arguing with her, he actually listens to what she has to say. Aside from that, the two of them are very protective of one another, but it is not to the point where they view the other as weak or inferior themselves. They admire each other's strengths and view the other as equals and would give their life for the other in a heartbeat because they genuinely do care about one another. They are there to calm each other down when their tempers run high, and they are there to pick the other up when they are feeling down on themselves. They truly do bring out the best part in one another, and if the Flash did not go back in time to create another Flashpoint, then I could truly see these two happily spending the rest of their lives together with one another. Knowing this, I feel like there's still a lot of untapped potential with these two together as characters. The movie leaves you wanting to know what happens next with them, and after all the shit that they went through together, they deserve a break and a happier ending, as well as the chance to be together when the world is not ending. Can you imagine Raven as part of the Bat family together with Damian? The storyline possibilities are pretty endless. So that brings me to kind of my final part. Will we ever see Damian and Raven together in this capacity ever again, or will this be the last we ever see of them as a couple? I personally think that this is a starting point for these two, and within the next couple of years you will probably see them together again, in some form of media, whether that be animation, video games, movies, TVs, or hell, even in the comics. They took a risk with these two, and it went on to become popular. Even as recently as the DC fandom event, I saw a bunch of fan art of them together, so DC is aware that they got a positive reaction from this. Not to mention, the filmmakers have hinted that there might be more with them in the future. I also think that the idea of Raven being closer to the Bat family would make more sense financially. She is a popular character, and there's probably some money to be made with teaming her up with the Bat family more often. But if this is truly the last time we ever see Damian and Raven together in any form of media, at least in this universe, it was handled with some care. So there you go, everyone. I finally finished it 5 fucking months later. I want to thank everyone, especially the shippers, for being extremely patient with me on this video. I am so sorry it took so long to finish. I really struggled trying to write this, so I hope that you found some enjoyment in it, and hey, if Damian and Raven do make a comeback, I guess I'll make a part 3 or something like that. Anyways, thank you again to everyone for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like this video and share it with everyone. I would very much appreciate that. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comment section what you thought of this video, as well as your opinion on these two together. And as always, take care now, bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Boom!